So, back in the late 1600s, a Swiss student doctor by the name of Johannes Hofer discovered a strange pattern among some of his mercenary patients. These mercenaries were away from their home, they were away from their nice-looking scenic homelands, and they were displaying some interesting symptoms. These symptoms included fainting, lack of appetite, and even in some cases being fatally sick because of this illness, this strange phenomenon. So this doctor decided to name this disease by the term of nostalgia, but from the Greek words nostos, meaning homecoming, and algos, meaning sickness, essentially homesickness. The situation became so dire that even singing an old Swiss song became punishable by death, because it would send all these mercenaries into a nostalgic frenzy. But what is nostalgia? Today, according to the Oxford Languages, nostalgia is a sentimental longing or wistful affection for a period of time in the past. Everyone's experienced this phenomenon of nostalgia, right? You've thought about the good old days, having fun with your mates back in school or whatever. Is it just positively reminiscing about the past, the good old days, or is there something more to it? And more importantly, should we even care? I mean, does it even matter what nostalgia is and what it does for us? Like, where should we even spend our time? Well, the short answer is yes and no. It depends on how you sort of approach this psychological concept, essentially. You could either let it happen to you, and you could take its benefits without actually being aware of what it's doing, or you could actually try and take control of it, at least some control of it, and trying to use this for your benefit. So next, I will go over 3 ways in which nostalgia affects us, and then some tricks you could use for your own advantage. Nostalgia has a lot of functions. The first of this is all about self-identity. So what nostalgia lets you do is it lets you compare your current self to your past self. So essentially, it gives you an idea of how your identity has changed over a certain period of time. So let's say you take your current self and you think about something a few years ago. Say you started your university and now you're done, and let's say it's a 4-year course. Nostalgia lets you sort of take that starting point of your past self, and it compares you to your current self, the current point in time, and it kind of like gives a snapshot of your journey over that period of time in a matter of moments, essentially. Whereas what normally happens is small changes over a long period of time, we don't intend to notice them, but they do end up compounding into significant variances. So nostalgia basically cuts that middle time completely to zero, and takes your current self, your past self, and it gives you your journey over that period of time in one sort of quick instant moment. So the trick here is that you can first of all use this function to first of all appreciate your journey across some period of time. You can use that to kind of appreciate how far you've come from where you were, let's say 5-10 years ago. So that's definitely quite important to actually understand the efforts you've made and the sort of achievements you've achieved, the successes you've achieved, and so forth. And the reverse of that would be if things have gone worse, you can use that as a way to kind of reassure yourself that the past was good. You can probably get back to that point. You just have to kind of start that journey. The second trick here to use this function is to actually use what you were in the past and your current self to kind of determine who you want to be in the future. So essentially, this is all about you decide what kind of a person you want to be in the future, and you use the journey you've had so far to kind of decide what you need to do, how you need to change yourself to get to that point in time in the future where you can be whoever you want to be. The next function of nostalgia is all about increasing social connectedness. So just think about at a time when you were with your mates and you started talking about your favorite TV show from when you were a kid. Shout out to Beyblade, Avatar: The Legend of Aang, and Naruto. And comment down below what your favorite TV show was when you were growing up. But anyways, another thing you may have noticed is you start talking about the horrible things that happened to you at school with your schoolmates, some of the like absolute banter moments that you've had from the past. All of this is a part of nostalgia, and what it does is it lets you basically talk about common experiences with your friends or people who you want to increase friendship with, and it creates like a deeper bond with them subconsciously. So the trick to this function is fairly straightforward. The next time you want to develop a deeper relationship with a friend, a partner, a colleague, anyone else, a family member, just try and figure out common topics between you and them from the past, and just basically reminisce about it. Keep talking about it. Keep kind of like developing that topic of conversation. Keep developing that nostalgic feeling for this common topic, and over time, whether you notice it or not, you will end up becoming closer with that person or with that group of people. And the final function I want to talk about to do with nostalgia is all about dealing with change and trauma. So change, whether positive or negative, ends up resulting in some anxiety, some nervousness whenever it comes around. So imagine you're moving houses, right? It's a pretty stressful and effort-inducing piece of situation, but unconsciously, whenever you've moved houses, you might start thinking about the first time that you moved into the house, maybe the first takeout you got in the house, first set of movies you binge watched. And the reason why that happens is because by focusing on a pleasant memory to do with moving houses, your brain basically helps you deal with the current change by making it a bit more comforting. And the same thing to do with trauma. If you look, 5-10 years in the past, when something bad happened to you in the past, and you can see, okay, if you can survive that and the journey that you made from that point to now, then you can survive another piece of trauma that's currently happening to you, or is about to happen, or something that recently happened to you. So the trick here to do with this function is fairly straightforward. Whenever you are going through a change that is stressful, it's inducing anxiety or nervousness, try and force yourself to think about some pleasant, comforting memories to do with that change from the past, and try and sort of talk about them, maybe talk about them with your friends, with someone, so that you kind of build upon that. So your brain starts to associate your current change to that pleasant memory, and it kind of like reassures you subconsciously that you're actually going to be okay. So that's the kind of trick here. So the next time you see a rework or a sequel of an old movie or old TV show, just know that it's because of that nostalgic reason, and also because it's kind of a proven thing that worked in the past, so they obviously want to recreate it. But the reason people get caught up in that is because they relate that movie or that show to something that was pleasant from the past, and then their subconscious is like, oh, I want to go and watch this again, because of course it's going to be comfortable again. But that's all I'm going to go through about nostalgia in this video. There's so much more to explore here. If you want to more deep dive into it, if you want to learn more about it, then I'll recommend a podcast from the American Psychological Association. It's called Does Nostalgia Have a Psychological Purpose? I'll link it in the description below. They've got a PhD professor who's literally studied nostalgia for like 20 years, so she's like an absolute expert. She lives this thing. It's definitely quite useful. It's definitely helped me a lot in the research I did, and it actually got me thinking more about nostalgia. So yeah, would recommend it if you're interested in it. Bit of a different one on this channel. We don't really make this before, but yeah, I thought, you know what, it was interesting, I made it. If you like it, let me know. I'll try and make more of this. I'm quite interested in different psychology things, so if you want more videos like that, who knows, maybe I'll make more, but let me know in the comments below. Cool, cheers for watching, thank you, subscribe, and thanks for watching. Have a good day. Peace. Bye. Oh, and one more thing, a cool little psychology trick to do with nostalgia. Whenever you're in a group of friends, if you ever notice, basically, if you're in a group of friends and one person mentions something positive about the past, some funny memory, the rest of the group will start bringing up other positive memories related to that first memory. But if someone starts off by talking about a negative memory in the past, something that was quite damaging or whatever, stressful, then other people in that group will start mimicking that, and they'll start talking about other unpleasant memories from the past. So if you're ever in a group, just try and notice where the conversation started, if it was a positive one, and then see how other people reacted to it. Chances are the starting point will get mimicked by other people. And it's a trick. If you want to ever have a pleasant conversation in a group, make sure you're the first one, and then come up with like something from the past that everyone can talk about, or most people can talk about, and something that's pleasant. Chances are the rest of the group will also talk about other pleasant memories, and then the conversation will just become a fairly wholesome one. Most likely. It's just a psychological trick. I don't know, not a doctor, but yeah, just something I thought it was cool. Yeah, bye.